The party was loud and packed, full of music, laughter, and people acting as if happiness came easily. I stood near the edge of the room, holding a drink I hadn't touched, when I saw her. My wife was wrapped in another man's arms, laughing softly, her head resting against his shoulder, as though it belonged there. The moment felt unreal, like a scene frozen in time. I didn't confront them. I didn't freeze either. I simply watched long enough to understand this wasn't an accident or a misunderstanding. It was comfort, familiarity, a choice. Something inside me went still. No anger surged, no dramatic impulse took over. I turned away calmly and walked toward the exit without saying a word to anyone. No one stopped me. No one noticed. At least, that's what I thought then. I stepped into the night air believing silence was my escape, unaware it was only the beginning. Outside, the cool air felt heavier than the crowded room I'd left. I paused, listening to the music echo faintly through the doors, then walked to my car. I didn't check my phone or replay the image in my mind. I drove home slowly, focused on the road, convincing myself that leaving quietly was the cleanest ending. I believed silence would protect my dignity and spare me unnecessary drama. At home, I sat in the dark and let the night pass without answers or questions. What I didn't know was that my absence had already been noticed. Inside the party, people began asking where I had gone. Someone mentioned seeing me leave alone. Another noticed the empty space where I'd been standing. My wife looked around casually at first, then with confusion. Silence doesn't vanish when you leave. Sometimes it follows you and grows louder behind you. Within minutes, whispers replaced laughter. My wife stepped away from the dance floor, scanning faces, pretending not to care. The man beside her asked what was wrong. She laughed it off, saying I probably went home early, but her confidence faltered. Friends began sensing tension they hadn't felt before. Someone asked why I hadn't said goodbye. Another wondered if I was upset. Questions multiplied quietly. My absence disturbed the mood more than any argument could have. People started connecting dots they had ignored all evening. The image of her in another man's arms no longer seemed harmless when paired with my silent exit. The music continued, but conversations shifted. Smiles grew stiff. She tried calling me. I didn't answer. That unanswered call unsettled her more than anger ever could. Silence removes context. Without it, people are forced to interpret the truth on their own, and that rarely ends comfortably. By the time the party ended, nothing felt celebratory anymore. Groups left early, conversations unfinished. My wife's laughter never returned. She spent the night explaining, justifying, and denying things no one had directly accused her of. That alone said enough. The next morning, my phone filled with messages from mutual friends asking if I was okay. I replied politely that I was fine. That calm response confused them. They expected rage or heartbreak, not certainty. Word spread that something serious had happened, though no one could fully explain what. My wife finally came home shaken and defensive, demanding to know why I had left without a word. I told her calmly that I didn't need to explain what I had seen. The realization reached her slowly. My silence hadn't avoided conflict. It had exposed it. And now, she had to face consequences she never expected to arrive so quietly. In the days that followed, tension spread through our social circle. Friends avoided choosing sides, but couldn't ignore what they had witnessed. My wife tried to control the story, insisting nothing inappropriate had happened. But silence doesn't support rewritten narratives. It weakens them. People recalled details they had once dismissed. The way she leaned in, the length of the dance, my quiet departure. I didn't confront anyone or tell my version. I didn't need to. Absence became evidence. She accused me of embarrassing her by leaving. I replied that embarrassment comes from choices, not responses. That answer frightened her. She realized I wasn't fighting to be understood. I was done explaining. Control depends on reaction, and I had withdrawn mine completely. That shift unsettled everyone. Without conflict, there was nothing to resolve. Only truth, sitting uncomfortably where celebration had been planned. Silence had shifted the balance, and no one could undo it. Weeks passed, and the consequences grew heavier. Invitations stopped arriving. Friends spoke cautiously around us. The man from the party vanished from conversations altogether. My wife became restless and uncertain, sensing that something irreversible had taken place. She asked if I was planning to leave her. I told her I was deciding what honesty required. That answer offered no comfort. I wasn't punishing her. I was protecting myself. The calm I carried unsettled her more than anger ever could. She realized she couldn't argue with silence or bargain with distance. My life moved forward steadily. Work, routine, peace. Her world, meanwhile, felt unsteady. The image she depended on had fractured. People stopped asking me what happened. They assumed. Silence invites interpretation, and interpretation rarely favors those who hide behind laughter. I learned that leaving quietly isn't avoidance. Sometimes it's the loudest statement you can make without speaking at all. Eventually, she tried to apologize, carefully choosing her words, testing my reaction. I listened once, then told her apologies don't erase moments that reveal truth. That truth had already been seen. She asked why I hadn't confronted her publicly. I said confrontation would have given her room to deny. Silence gave her nowhere to hide. That realization unsettled her deeply. Friends later admitted my exit changed how they saw everything. They understood how often silence had protected discomfort for everyone involved. My quiet departure forced accountability without accusation. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt clear. The marriage I believed in ended the moment I chose to walk away calmly. Everything after that was consequence, not decision. I stopped waiting for closure, conversations, or explanations. Closure arrived the moment I trusted my own eyes and chose dignity over spectacle. Silence didn't break me. It rebuilt me, slowly and permanently, without witnesses, applause, or validation from anyone else. Looking back, that night reshaped my understanding of strength. Strength isn't shouting, exposing, or demanding answers. Sometimes it's leaving quietly and letting reality unfold on its own. My silent exit set events in motion no one expected because it removed comfort, control, and denial all at once. The party faded from memory, but its consequences did not. I didn't announce my boundaries. I lived them. People remembered my absence more than the dance itself. I learned that silence, when chosen with intention, carries a weight no argument can match. It doesn't beg for attention, it commands reflection. Walking away without a word wasn't surrender, it was alignment. And once aligned, I no longer needed explanations, witnesses, or approval. The chain of events that followed wasn't chaos. It was clarity arriving late for those who believed laughter could conceal everything. For me, it marked the beginning of peace, earned quietly and guarded deliberately, forever.